Hey, Will, have you heard of WeWork?
Yes.
Do you know much about what's been going down with that company?
They made a ton of money. And,
Raised a ton of money. They never made a ton of money.
well, they do have a lot of money.
Well, that's
Like, in
the
the bank.
issue. They tried to file an IPO, and it turns out they didn't have as much money as people thought they had.
Okay, yeah.
They had actually been kind of bleeding money, or I don't know what you say in the startup world, startup culture, but they were taking. They were behaving very liberally with a lot of the funds that they had received via investment, and then there was an issue with the CEO. They tried to oust him, but he was all tangled up. He had a lot of personal conflicts of interest in there, where he would lease a space, let's say, on a personal name, and then use and then have WeWork, the company, on a sublease where he would up the cost. And I don't know, allegedly,
Yes.
key terminology there. Well, there's one of their biggest investors. I don't know, it might have been probably their biggest investor. This Vision Fund, which was started by SoftBank, who of course is this major telco in Japan, huge company. They lost $8.9 billion on their fund, Vision Fund, mostly because of WeWork. So in terms of evaporating value, 8.9 billion.
So that money is just gone.
Evaporate. Well, maybe it was never there.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. But I mean, it was there. They definitely, it was there.
In the books.
They've been some of the most aggressive investors. I listened to a good podcast about it. Maybe it was Planet Money. Can't remember right now. But they've been super aggressive investors with this enormous fund. I believe it's like $100 billion fund or some crazy number. $100 billion Vision Fund. And they would go out and just bully everybody out of the game. They would go invest in a particular company, in a particular segment, whatever it happened to be. Could be, I think the example they used was dog walkers or something. They found a funny one in the podcast I was listening to, but they would go into a segment. WeWork, for example, not the only company in the shared office space. But they would fund companies so hard that they could have this rapid expansion. Everybody would be like, we're out. It's like a poker match. You push all the chips in the table.
Like they're a monopoly.
You got the bigger stack, Will.
Yeah.
You get the bigger stack, you keep pushing. Everybody's like, this guy can't even play at this table anymore. I'm going to go get a job. I'm going to go get a degree.
Yeah.
Forget this startup life. These guys keep pushing the chips. Anyway, they invested in Uber, WeWork, ton of other companies. It's crazy. If you go look up the Vision Fund, you'll see they invested in everything. Overall, the group posted an operating loss of $6.5 billion compared to a similar amount in profit for the same period a year earlier. So they had no problems a year earlier, same period. They're just making $6 billion in profit. All of a sudden, WeWork fiasco, night, say goodbye. So this guy, who has the coolest name ever, by the way, the guy who runs the fund, listen to this name. Well, you wish you had this name, even though you got a great name. Masayoshi Son. Yeah! Masayoshi Son. CEO.
Very jealous.
Masayoshi Son. You see that? Just let it live. Let it breathe for a minute. Some of us get gifted something like that. And then you go out and you start investing billions of dollars just because of the name alone. He did nothing else. They just saw the name and
It's like, yep.
they gave him $100 billion. They said, figure out how to invest it. I don't know. Name like that. Obviously, that's not what happened. He's been critical now of this CEO, Adam Neumann. Neumann, maybe. That's the guy. That's the WeWork CEO that's under. He's getting a lot of scrutiny now. He's under duress. And he's out of the company as far as I know. So anyhow, it's been a bit of a disaster. Here's a quote from Masayoshi-san. My investment judgment was poor in many ways, and I am reflecting deeply on that. And many are saying that's a remarkable admission for an executive of that stature to even say that. You know, in Japan, how it goes, you can't just say dishonorable.
Yeah, honors everything.
Yeah, you can't just be coming out and saying I made a mistake, poor judgment. Anyhow, he says it's going to come back. He still believes in WeWork now that that dude is gone. He thinks they can make a comeback. He thinks there's a real business there, even though many people are obviously very skeptical. I thought it was interesting. Very cool podcast I listened. I hope it was Planet Money because I might be shouting out the wrong thing here, but you can go check out a very interesting story about how you had all this money flowing, but the business model wasn't fleshed out yet, and you have a lot of potential for problems when that's the case.